Okay, so Trenton's here, and Trenton's been in the mix of this whole DCNH discussion because he's the one who sent me the link saying, "Hey, this seems to reflect the various ENTPs that I've seen on the show around talking with fence people, and it seems quite descriptive in certain ways." And so I looked at it and I thought, yeah, it sure does. Most notably, ENTPJ seems possibly harmonizing to me, or possibly normalizing. But he seems unusually not fighty for an ENTP. So that would make sense, especially if he were an SI heavy ENTP, as I suspect he might be, what with his whole, working out and just being healthy and all that kind of stuff, right? So
Mhm.
that's a possibility. But what I noted first and foremost was reading those, I felt as though I identified clearly and decidedly with the dominant one, and I felt as though Taylor identified, or I identified Taylor clearly and decisively as the creative subtype. And that would seem to make perfectly good sense because here's the thing though. Dominant subtypes are, and this is true for both, I think both you and Nick are dominant subtypes.
Really?
But Nick's a different tri-type than me. I think you're the same tri-type as me too, except right now you're a
Yeah.
4 instead of a 3. I think we're the same tri-type, same subtype, same type.
Holy shit.
That's what I
Yeah,
think.
what the fuck was I doing? Oh yeah, there's me and well, the reason why I brought up the subtype thing was I've started identifying like a cyclical kind of uh, need to be actualized emotionally. And I was going through some of your old videos. I got on my like Safari on my phone or whatever, and I went to I loaded up the videos from like oldest to newest instead, and like there was a video where I've been doing this recently, and I noticed I start doing this when I get to the point where I have. There's a point when I start. Here's the difference. Like if I go to socialize, if I'm healthy or healthy quote unquote, I usually go into it with the intent of I genuinely have no idea what this person is going to answer with or how they mean it. And I think that's the best way I can possibly go into it. And then, but I notice when I start going to this kind of socializing, and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm saying, what kind of response I'm going to get, and I start creating these entire indisputable arguments like some kind of fucking NFJ. I know I've gone to the point where I've concretized too much information, and I need to go get as much fucking more as possible by maybe putting myself in vulnerable situations or whatever, in terms of arguing or socializing or something. But what the hell was I talking about? What the hell was the first thing I said? Oh yeah, your video. Yeah, your video. All right, so there's fucking you was talking about it was almost narcissistic to an extent, but it was something I had said to my significant other the other day, and it was something like, before I say something, before I make an argument, I know every single negation you could possibly make, and I've already argued that out to its most full extent. And when I say something, I've already taken into account every single one of those variables or some shit, right? And then after that, I was like, "I fucking sound narcissistic. I sound like a prick." Da da. And then me and her was watching one of those fucking old ass videos where I was trying to get her to like, look at this shit, look at this shit, look at this. I told you this. That, like when I watch the videos, it's like, see, I told you I wasn't lying. I told you this is something I'm not just imagining. This shit actually happens. But the video was fucking the one you're sitting in the car and you're like, fuck, what was it? Shit. You said something, the exact thing what I just said about following an argument down to its logical conclusion and knowing every single argument for or against or whatever. And I don't know. I was at that point in the cycle of where I just haven't yet. I haven't went out and got any new information like I should be doing, or put myself in a vulnerable situation.
You're just letting any go with what's already there and spinning off of things. The thing is, we're impatient people. We're very impatient.
That's an understatement, I think.
And by any measure, Trenton, you're doing metacognitive work way ahead of schedule, as far as I'm concerned. Just by my understanding of things, I didn't do any of this sort of thinking. I mean, I didn't have anybody that I could consider a useful dispenser of information, for one thing, until I was 30 years old or so, when I started working for Mr. Samuelson. He was a useful dispenser of information. I sought information from him. I wanted to understand things more clearly. But I didn't even know that it happened kind of instinctually, because I was so fucked up by that point of never having had anybody explain anything to me in any meaningful way, that I just sort of assumed that everybody else was a moron, and I was concurrently the worst moron of all.
Yeah.
You know, somehow.
I know it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Luckily, I had the fucking internet, so I was capable of finding your YouTube channel, or else I would live in an eternal state of asking myself, are these people not capable of understanding the words I'm saying, or am I not competent enough to word it in a way that they can understand it?
Well, I am very glad to provide this service. That was not something I really thought would be. I guess maybe I did think about it, but this idea that there's a certain frustrated NTP group out there that I mean, I think that ENTPs are pretty rare. I think they were probably a little more rare than they indicate in the typology of things.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think INTPs experience the same thing, although they're probably less foot stompy about it. You and me both have a. Hello, Blake J. You and I both have a childlike quality about us that kind of overrides everything else.
Right.
And that's any too, because, like, you refuse to not make explicit everything, which is just like me. Whatever it is, I want to talk about it directly, and I want to talk about it directly right now.
Yeah, I feel there's an interesting. You know who Bertrand Russell is?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. I know this is irrelevant, but he's an ENTP. But I was reading one of his books because I've been dealing with the issue of the significant other thing, and so I've been reading any amount of anything philosophical in nature about love and monogamy and relationships. And I've read all of Bertrand Russell's book, and what were you just saying? What am I responding to right now? I think. What did I start fucking saying that?
We started with, I was saying how we both are childlike.
Why did I start talking about Bertrand Russell?
And then I said,
what the fuck?
We both like to make shit explicit.
Explicit, yeah, explicit. All right. He was talking about how your sexuality can manifest, and how if you're like as a child, if you tell a child that like doing this, if you're not explicit with the thing things innate in our nature, like sexuality, when those things come up later, they've already threw them away into like the quote bad place in their mind, the place of negative thinking, right? And if anybody's insecure or is in a negative state of mind, they're immediately going to go to the things that they've become accustomed to being negative. So they might have insecurities, they might project with their sexuality just because they were taught that it has a negative connotation associated with it. And if you make them explicit, it eliminates a way for you to, it eliminates a manifestation of your insecurities if you continue just beating explicit things into your head. Like, you cannot continue being insecure about yourself sexually if you beat it into your head that there is actually no standards for you sexually. You know what I'm saying? If you really fucking beat it into your fucking head, you can eventually get it. If you build a perfectly
I got some bad news for you, Trenton.
Alright, let's hear it.
Even if you're feeling totally secure sexually right now because you're in a good relationship, as soon as it ends, you'll revert back.
Oh, God.
It won't be quite as bad. It'll be less bad as it was than it was the previous time. But, you still go like, this again? This is a fucking hassle. I gotta lock one of these things down so I can go back to being a big stud, I'm a big stud with my one woman at home. Once I've settled into that relationship and I'm comfortable,
I just have an extremely bad. I have a really bad defense. I guess there's two ways you can cope with insecurities, and you've coped with it a more healthy way, and that is explicitly acknowledging the insecurity. It seems at some point I've become accustomed to being defensive about it, like saying, "Are you so shallow as to expect perfect sexual?" My sexuality be perfectly manifest.
Right. Well, I mean, look, it's a weird thing too. It's a tough bridge to walk on because, on the one hand, sexuality normally expresses masculinity in terms of certainty and decisiveness.
Yeah.
But we are anything but certain and decisive about this sort of thing. And the idea of trying to express to somebody in words that, like, okay, well, look, I want this to be cool, between cool people, where I feel safe, and this means I need you to make me feel safe, basically.
Yeah.
And so that's a difficult conversation to have because it seems to run in the other direction from the act itself. I think it should happen, probably the conversation should happen somewhere out in public where you can't start having sex right there.
And even, here's another thing, even if I make a conscious decision to just like fucking put SE in overdrive and just start becoming some kind of fucking barbarian, fucking club wielding maniac, even if I start doing that, there is such an extreme amount of emotional exhaustion and physical exhaustion afterwards. I just feel like I never want to touch another human intimately in my entire life again. What the fuck?
You don't get to control these narratives. That's the bottom line. And you'll discover that there aren't any narratives long term that matter. Narratives that matter are, were those two in a relationship? Were they happy? Did they get unhappy eventually and break up? All that stuff, yeah. It's all that matters. Look, the thing is, some people might think other narratives do matter. I guess when you're young, those other narratives get a little bit more weight, but you can't control the narrative. However that shit goes down, it's a narrative that should be private anyway. And I know most people don't seem to keep it that private. Like chicks talk to each other, dudes do less. I mean, I don't really normally. do that sort of talking with other guys. I don't know. I just, rather than try to hammer any sort of contrary truths into my head, I sort of played, or now anyway, play, I don't want to think about it. It's
Yeah,
icky. I don't want to think about it. It's icky, it's complicated, it's disheartening.
it is. It is definitely disheartening. But it just, I just have a when instead of being able to just like have that thought and just, oh fuck, I don't even want to think about that. I think I immediately do the why thing with it. I think, why should I feel insecure about me not being able to be a barbarian? Immediately, I put a negative connotation with it, and I go down and defending myself like I'm being attacked. And then before I know it, I've developed an entire negation against an argument that hasn't even been made against me yet. It's not here. Instead of just being insecure, it just, I don't know why.
Right.
I live it, I would do that.
Well,
Why? Why?
it's because we're anticipating ways in which we might fall short across the board. This one is particularly daunting from a distance when you're thinking about it in the abstract. Why? The same reason we don't get really thinking about our feelings in the abstract. Like, let's think about how sad I was.
Holy Christ! What kind of question is that? I do
Right,
well
we
to know
can't
if
even
I'm sad or
conceive of
not.
it. What fucking difference would that make? I was sad, I guess. I was crying. So, who cares? What, extra sad or medium sad? It wouldn't make any fucking difference to describe my sadness. Or explain why I'm sad, even because it's not a rational response to something. Anyway, similarly, we're trying to do architecture about music. And it's like, what? We're trying to control abstractly this event that is entirely non. I mean, it's not entirely non-abstract. There's plenty of narratives that go along with it, right? But it's something that is temporally specific. In the moment, that event with that individual occurs for a confluence of reasons, and you can't ti it ahead of time.
Yeah. There's one thing here. Here's the most vulnerable. I would say at the very, if you search hard enough, there's a very deep rooted insecurity within any of my like fucking super like on a little bit faulty premises arguments, and it's that the whole thing about homosexuality. I guess what I'm most concerned with is why I'm most concerned with making these kind of arguments is that one day, if me and this individual stop talking and they end up being with an individual who happens to embody the sexual traits they're looking for, I just want to know that I made that. I just want to be able to look back and know that I already won that argument. In case they think, in case they look back and think, oh wow, he was inadequate, I can say, well, I already made an argument against that when the fuck it was happening. So,
Listen, Trenton. First of all, I've never heard anybody ever say that about somebody else unless they were being extremely spiteful.
holy Christ! Oh god, that's like my worst fucking nightmare. Being spiteful is like embodies elements of like evil, deceit, fucking non-explicit information. I cannot handle spiteful behavior. It's my fucking worst nightmare.
No, I know, Trenton. I know exactly what you're saying. It's like women have a lot of power over us, and when we trust them and love them, they then we give up control that we're used to having. But we have to give up that control, and we have to allow for the fact that a decent person, first of all, with some people, most people, you can shape the breakup. You should shape the breakup. It shouldn't be something that just happens. So, chances are, knowing the way that we are, when a breakup happens, you'll have plenty of shit to leverage.
Right.
Not that that's a good reason to dismiss your point, okay? But just to let you know, you will.
Yeah.
You'll have plenty of shit to leverage at that point because the breakup didn't happen because of something you did, at least not on a technical level. And nobody wants
Yeah,
to.
I make sure that, yeah.
Nobody wants to fuck with an ENTP at that juncture because if you insist on making it war, we'll destroy you, and if you are cool, we'll be cool. We don't want trouble. We don't want unnecessary trouble with people. I don't, certainly. And it's exactly what happened with my ex-wife. She tried to push me, and I had to shut that shit down.
Right. What? How did that go down? Did any of your tell me? All right, do this for me. I want you to go back into your head, right, and think about when do you think you held the most moral culpability in being maybe not as conscious of picking your words in an argument or something with one of your ex-wives? Or do you have two ex-wives, or you only have one ex-wife?
Two. Um. Well,
Or is that too personal?
I told my first wife, um, I've only ever loved one woman, it's my daughter Delilah, before we were in the middle of any sort of divorcey things. So that was pretty ill advised.
Oh man.
And I basically told
Yeah.
her, and then I tried to justify it by saying like, look, I'm just saying, I only experienced really love for my daughter. Obviously, I'm going to experience a lot more love for my daughter than for you.
Oh no, you did not use that fucking argument. No.
I didn't like her very much. She was annoying.
I was thinking about this today. I was thinking about SFJs and how we cannot. I was talking to my because I've noticed that NFJs in general they like to try to be a little bit. They like to base some of their ethical argumentation on the same kind of level we do in terms of how we argue. Let's say objective, anything objective. They like to do it with emotional things, as in if they're going to argue about something, they like basing it on some kind of, and it brings out the worst in me. It makes me start arguing against them. But if you get an SFJ on me and you start get them fucking riled up and start telling me how fucking bad my etiquette is or how I fucked up or how bad I made them feel, I could sit there and listen to it all day and I could feel guilty. But if you get an NFJ telling me you did this and you're wrong for doing this and you deserve this because of your actions, as soon as they start pulling out the word deserve, I am not ceasing fire ever.
Damn straight. Oh, really? I deserve, huh?
Yeah. Fuck that.
Okay,
Oh,
well, let's
shit.
talk about what you deserve.
Oh my god. God. Because I understand emotions I understand emotions on a subjective level, in that anybody is warranted in their own emotional experience because they obviously don't have any kind of self control over it. So if they want to come up to me and tell me about how what I did caused some kind of emotional reaction in them, fuck, I'll listen to them all day. But as soon as they start saying things like, "You are at fault for me experiencing this emotional reaction specifically, and you should be ashamed," instead of saying like, "Hey, I just happen to have an emotional reaction to that, and if you care about me, Trent, you'll try to avoid doing that again." I'll be like, "Yes, I have my own autonomy, I understand what I've done is wrong, and I care about you, so I'm going to avoid causing that again." But if somebody's just like, "It is inherent in your nature to do those fucking things that make me so upset because you hate me or something," it's like, what the fuck are you talk?
Do
I
you
don't fucking
feel
hate you.
regret? Do you feel regret and sorriness?
Do I? Wait, did you ask if I did?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Do you feel regret and sorriness?
I feel a significant amount when I see a genuine, like, I feel a significant amount when I feel like I've done something that was uncalled for, basically. I feel a significant amount when I've blatantly done something that is like, yes, Trent, you did cause an emotional reaction. And I always feel that unless they try to counter it or something, if they're just like, you did this and it hurt my feelings, and then they leave it at that, oh my god, I feel fucking guilty. But like I said, if they said, you made me feel like this, and so I'm going to try
If they
to,
think they're holding you accountable, then fuck no. If they're coming to you to
yeah,
tell you to let if they're coming to you like, why did you hurt me? Then you're
yeah,
like, oh my god, I fucking did something terrible. You know?
exactly, yeah. Because I mean, if I have my own autonomy and I care about this individual, of course, all I need to know is that I hurt you. I don't need you coming up with some fucking scheme to make me acknowledge what I've done is wrong in fear of punishment. I'm never going to do anything in my life just out of fear of punishment. I'll do stuff. I mean, in interpersonal relationships, I'm never going to do anything because of fear of punishment. Because that's so fucking. It's almost. It's. It's. I don't know. If I'm going to do anything, it's because I care about the individual enough to not do it again, not because they told me not to do it again.
Taylor, you want to get in here?
I'm just playing this wall.
I can't hear you very much.
It's super like everything's been real relatable since.
I cleaned this pick with fire, by the way.
Podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, not that. I didn't use map gas on this. I used my lighter on it, but it's still fire. It's clean enough.
You could probably transubstantiate it and sell it now at this point.
The world's grossest artifact.
Now, this chick that was sitting beside me last night would do that.
I had to get out of there. That's the sort of thing that devolves into something you have nightmares about later. When the cameras go off, I don't know. I don't want to know what goes down in that room. It's like it's one of those sort of things that you go, oh, this could get ugly.
It's nothing too exciting happened. But I'm in my 30s now, so I don't need that ratchet shit.
Right.
Oh no, ratchet shit. What is
Why
ratchet
not?
shit?
Ratchet, it's like a loud.
I know what the word means, but I want to know how you're defining it. I mean, what the situation, how it warrants being called ratchet. Like,
Fun out hooker taking her pants off.
holy dog shit! What?
I mean,
Wait, are you married?
No, I'm divorced.
Oh, Christ. Well, I mean, who gives a shit?
I just am not amused by it anymore. It's gross. When you get a certain age, it's not fun anymore. It's not funny anymore. It's gross.
Right. It's gross and depressing.
It is depressing. I've experienced that before. Yeah.
What did this thing in the chat say here? I want to read it.
Trey, how old are you?
18.
Sounds like you're trying to figure out a lot more things than you're ever actually going to need to explain to anyone.
I agree. Yeah. Well, what was? Oh, fuck. I didn't hear the whole story. I heard something about you with the quote ratchet unquote situation with some female and her who was taking their pants off. I didn't hear it.
There aren't a lot of details to it, Trenton. It was just somebody when it was get too loaded and being unnecessarily and unsoughtedly giving of her womanliness.
Well, I didn't. All the situations where I've attempted hooking up before, and I've done it successfully, but not very successfully, because I get in a situation, and I assume that because I don't have any, I have no concept of what I can tell you objectively what's supposed to go down in like a hookup scenario, and I assume that when I get into that scenario, things will just fall into place, but they don't actually. That doesn't happen. You have to actually have. You actually have to want to do the thing to actually for it to go according to plan.
This is Eric Jr. here, dude. This is fucking Eric Jr. This is me at his age trying to figure this fucking shit out and being like, what see, I don't understand, like, how much sexual attraction am I supposed to feel before I take action upon it? Or something like that. I remember when I was a teenager, I had this girlfriend, and I genuinely didn't understand that when she was like sitting on my lap and I was aroused and wanting to do something to her, that it would be okay if I tried to have sex with her. I didn't understand this. Like, nobody taught me. I got my understanding of women from these Swords and Dragons books that I read, and they're all very pure, very, very pure in those books.
Dude, I have never had any pure understanding. That's an interesting concept, though. I've never had a pure understanding of sexuality ever. All my sexuality was built around, like basically
porn.
Not negative, but like taboo. You know, it was like one of those situations where some sibling shows you some kind of, hey, don't say anything, don't keep it to yourself, you know. And it's like, holy shit. And then anytime you do anything with your sexuality after that, it's going to be with that same connotation of it being taboo. And so I don't know. That's a good thing for you that you develop such a pure understanding of it. But
well, I mean, that broke down quickly. Like, well, I don't know. This is the first girl that I went out with for a while, and then I didn't know that I was allowed to have sex with her or something.
What do you mean allowed?
I just assumed, like, well, we're in high school. You're not going to be okay with having sexual intercourse until we've been dating for a year or so, or something like that.
I got to tell a story. I have no idea if this is going to be relatable to you or not. All right, this is how little I give a fuck. I mean, how little I gave a fuck about anything sexual, and I just realized this. But I had a significant other, well, not significant other, but somebody that I was with for a long ass time, all the way throughout high school. And we were being actively sexual for like 2 or 3 years before we ever had sex. Because I had such an objective understanding of her, so I was like, why do I have to actually have sex to enjoy this? I mean, basically, my objective, until this day, the only way I conceptualize anything sexual is making sure
that was willing to go along with this plan of yours, huh?
Yes, but I was thinking, as long as the other person gets whatever the fuck they want, nothing truly can go wrong. I don't even give a shit what happens to me. I will be like, yo, let's.
Trenton, you are so fucked up in the head. It's not your fault. I was fucked up just like you. Listen, it's very simple. Stop putting women on pedestals, and then stop treating them as though they're absolutely not on any pedestal when you actually have one. It's like when you don't have one, there are these glorious things that are perfect. You'll do anything to make them happy. When you actually have one, it's like, no, you haven't adequately explained why I should feel that emotion regarding your birthday. Why should I care about it? It's fucking stupid. So that's the problem, Trenton. That's what we come out of adolescence with, is that plan.
I don't understand. I understand it. I don't know.
Stop thinking about it. It won't do you any good.
I feel like I'll understand it if I put myself in enough scenarios. I feel like one of these hookup scenarios will eventually teach me these things, these themes I'm not getting the hang
You
of.
stop thinking about it so much. You're thinking it into oblivion. It's not a mental process.
You can't make a decision about it like that.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good. You can't make a decision about it. Yeah, that's cool. That's interesting way to think that.
You'll just distract yourself from it.
Yeah, I will. I haven't had a problem
woman,
recently at all.
Woman, here is my penis. Stroke it, love it. Show me. Work harder.
I get it.
Like that.
I feel too uncomfortable. You know, I feel like what if they're like, I don't fucking know. I mean, shit. I've been doing that for fucking 10 years myself. Why the hell would she be able to do any better? Fuck.
Trenton, for Christ's fucking sake, dude, just listen. You need to stop thinking about it. You have got yourself into some crazy corners, my friend. Okay, now listen. Just relax and don't worry about it. You're under 20.
Uh-huh.
Just chill out. That's it. Just chill. You need to start smoking some balls, dude.
Maybe you should find someone low, like a practice girl.
I thought you were about to say a prostitute.
No, I mean that's expensive, probably.
What?
But like, I mean,
I know a prostitute.
I mean,
$400.
yeah. However you want to splice it, it might help if you. I'm trying not to sound like a huge asshole, but I'm probably going to.
Well, I've already went through this though. I mean, I did go through this. I was with somebody for
Right, you're with
a
somebody.
very significant amount of time. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I maybe came in like I don't understand what the problem is, except that you're way overthinking shit. And here's what you're not understanding is that it is not a thinking process.
And nothing has value to me unless I make it a thinking process.
You're probably wrong. You probably haven't tried it.
I haven't tried doing something without thinking.
It doesn't sound like you've achieved it. There's a lot of pleasure in turning off your brain for a while, no matter what method it is.
Hmm.
Well, listen, Trent, I would also say this. That you, right now, don't know how to weigh things properly after you've had experiences anyway. So, when you have an experience of some sort, be it a metaphysical, physical, or something else kind of experience, you're going to either overweight it positively, or underweight it positively, or overweight it negatively, or underweight it negatively. So those are all different things, for sure.
All right.
Because
I mean, yeah, and don't put that measurement burden on yourself.
good point. There's some TE for you. The practical suggestion.
What was I about to say? Do you guys think that? To what extent do you think you guys' sexuality is exclusive to being romantic or loving somebody? Is that applicable to all people? Is it possible to do it? Is it possible to truly enjoy an experience like that, or intimacy at all with somebody that you don't?
Love, yes,
Without-
it is possible. I've had good instances of it outside of a relationship, but in general, it wasn't that. I mean, the best time I had sex outside of a relationship was with the trashiest chick.
What?
Because her opinion doesn't matter, right?
Practice
Oh my gosh.
She's a practice girl, and she knows what the fuck she's doing, and she's not surprised by anything.
Right. No matter what else happens, you know her self-esteem is already lower than yours.
What the hell? God, fuck yeah. I guess it's a fucking way to tackle it. Fuck.
I mean, look, I didn't think that out ahead of time. I didn't think to myself, that's how this is going to go. That was my analysis in the retrospect after it happened, right? Was like, oh, that's why I probably had enjoyed that a lot, was
Oh,
because.
I have a question. All right. You guys are talking about a practice girl, but still somebody that you. I mean, but the question is, the person I was with was an ISFJ, and I wouldn't really consider them an emotional interest. I mean, I wouldn't consider them a romantic interest, and I wouldn't consider them a practice interest either. They genuinely enjoyed that level of intimacy with me, and it being just a friendship thing.
What are these term definition things you're drawing distinction between romantic interest, whatever, blah 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 blah? Did you want to put your penis in her?
Yes, I think I
Okay,
did.
well,
Yes,
there you go.
I did do that actually.
There you go.
Did you get raped?
I don't think so. Consent, that's a thin line to walk on. No, I've never been raped, Taylor.
You're kind of delicate with your own cognitive, perceptions. No, it wasn't rape. Did you do it more than once?
No, holy Christ. Wait, were you asking me if I've raped anybody? No, fuck no. I'm not, hell no.
No, did what? I think we just completely went different ways there.
I heard the word rape.
Oh, yeah. Like you're unsure of your own perception of sex with that person. So I'm positing that you weren't raped. You did do it. You probably finished it, and you probably did it again.
Yes, I have had sex with her an immense amount of times, yes, because it works. It doesn't fuck up for either of us.
But
wait, hold on. Have either of you guys ever been with an ISFJ?
no.
I have no idea. The concepts of romance and sex were not linked at all for a long ass time for me.
Yeah, I've never had romantic sex. Honestly, I've only had casual sex.
Right. So, I mean, with that territory comes woman 42D from the bathroom at the party. Fucking idea what type they were.
Okay, but look, here's the thing, Trenton. Is that the same comfortableness that one attains with trashy girl, one also attains with girl that one quote unquote loves, because it's the same functionality. It's trust. In the first instance, it's trust in the circumstances to make it unnecessary to trust the person. In the second instance, it's actually trusting the person, so it's unnecessary to be having any anxiety.
Okay, I'm going to elaborate on one thing. I keep going back to this ISFJ thing, but literally everything we're talking about, all these worries, concerns we have, if you were with a person, a good friend who was an ISFJ, they would handle all this shit. Literally, that's what their job is. Making you feel comfortable, saying, "No, fucking everything's good. I've got this."
I know, ISFJs, that's what we need.
I know, but fuck, what the hell am I supposed to tell my NFJ significant other then? The
Jennifer,
fuck?
go back to the old chick. I gotta leave and go back to the old chick.
What the fuck?
He was better. Sorry. You need an ESTP. You got me mistaken for an ESTP, baby. Go get yourself one.
So you're with INFJ now, and you were with an ISFJ.
Yeah, I mean, I have romantic feelings and interest, and I guess love for the INFJ. I mean, but how fucking shallow would it be to?
But you're not getting boned up. Is
You basically, essentially, yeah.
Okay? Well, you don't trust her for whatever reason. I don't know.
I trust her.
Well, something's
Your
bugging your
words
brain.
trust her.
Something's
I'm not an
bugging.
ESTP. That's what's bugging me. I'm not a fucking ESTP.
So you should have more control over your own thought process.
But I mean,
Okay.
That's a stretch.
What?
Well, you have some. You've got awareness over it. All right. Let me reposition. Okay, so you're measuring stuff against ideas.
Yeah.
You're measuring tangible stuff against ideas. What you need is a tangible reference point.
Okay.
And I'm this is just kind of a broad statement. So you're applying ideas, concepts, abstract theory to a physical reality that you don't seem to have a lot of points of reference for. If you start using other people around you as points of reference for different that just in a comparative way or a relative way, you'll find that. I mean, this is something that I did pretty early, I think, actually. That you don't really have much to worry about anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you start measuring yourself to others instead of to ideas or to possibilities, well,
It's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's a really good suggestion.
Fuck it. Here, I'm just gonna tell the whole fucking scenario, and there's pretty shady shit going on. All right, here we go.
Okay, I guess here we go.
All right. So, goddamn. All right. So I am not in a committed relationship with the INFJ for the reason that I enjoy having sex with the SFJ, and I've made my own ethical principle here that I'm not going to engage in sexual relations with NFJ if I'm going to continue seeing my ex person. I'm not going to do that. I feel like that's too much fucking shit. So I can't make myself do that. But also I would go ahead and enter that realm with the NFJ. But holy shit, anytime shit gets hot and heavy or fucking whatever, immediately she turns into this fucking like super passionate fucking like doing these stupid ass, like I don't know, like fucking looking at me like I'm supposed to be like react like some kind of goddamn barbarian. I'm not a fucking barbarian. I'm clueless. I'm not on the same page. What the fuck?
Here's you gotta tell that chick you're done with her, dude. You can't be fucking the one chick and still and what the fuck are you doing?
Or you gotta stop self-imposing weird moral standards.
I don't know. When am I gonna stop?
I'll tell you the truth. Trenton, the truth is, you have to learn to indulge yourself. And be like, and to not care. Right? Like,
yeah.
On some level. A little bit. Like, a little bit.
Fucks and throw them away. Chuck those fucks in the fuck bucket.
Right. Well, I know, sweetie, but just be cooperative. Like that kind of thing, right? You don't think in the abstract you'd ever want to do that. But you gotta learn to indulge yourself a bit, and then there's a certain thing about women that you and I are very polite, Trenton. You and I are exceedingly polite people.
Right.
And something Taylor said to me the other day is, stop trying to impose your autonomy on people, Eric. And some people don't necessarily want to be autonomous beings, and they're okay with, a certain amount of direction.
Beta quadrant people aren't they don't believe in autonomy essentially in relationships.
Autonomy is responsibility. Not everyone wants the trade-off.
I'll go either way. I can be passive, lie there, and be tended to, or I can be directive. What I'm not going to be is directed.
I can't direct either. I feel like I'm not. I feel like there's something.
You've been spoiled. What? You just lie there? Is that what ISFJ does?
Here's my form.
Sex means Trenton just lies there.
Here's my form of direction. I'll tell you why you're wrong, and if you don't want to do this more effectively, because I'm improving your system you've built, and if you don't want to follow along with this new information, you don't want to accommodate the information I've given you, you can be a dumbass and not go with my direction. I guess
That is irrationally useless. You have logicked yourself out of logic.
I mean, Trenton, it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Weird thing is that, like, well, I don't know. I have the whole thought process seems. I mean, everything I'm hearing out of Trenton seems like kind of deja vu-y, even though I can't actually relate to it. Does that make sense?
Well, you're seeing what you see. You're seeing Trenton. 2 marriages from now will turn into me. Where he's a little bit less. I mean, I'm also like, God damn it, I want to get a chick, and that's always a messy business. But at the same time, you know, man, I'm not gonna freak out for want of a chick. But the thing is, Trenton, of course, at 18, things are much more high importance in the moment than they are when you're 45.
Right. They're just people.
How do ESFJs and ISFJs differ in an intimate sense? Anyways, I mean, how could they possibly differ?
INFJs are
No. I said ESFJs and ISFJs.
probably quite.
Because you've been with ESFJ.
ESFJs more attentive at you, and ISFJs are more self-attentive, which seems like it would make ESFJs more comfortable, but it's not, because
It makes me comfortable when the person I'm with is self-attentive, because I don't have to worry about it. Fuck, just tell me exactly what you want and when you want it, because I'm sure as fuck not gonna know.
yeah, stop that.
What?
Even that narrative in your head.
Yeah, Trent, you're
What
trying
narrative?
to win some sort of contest for like nicest guy. That's the wrong
I'm not.
angle. Trust me, it's the wrong angle.
I'm not gonna. What's the point? Here's the question. Let's say I'm sitting here, right, and I decide to be selfless and say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna try to do something to make me feel great." You know?
You're not
But
being
then
selfless.
I go into it, and then I do the wrong thing.
But
right?
you're not being selfless.
How can I
is the
prevent this problem?
You're not being selfless. That's the problem. You're trying to sidestep any arguments you might have to make.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically, you're trying to say, I don't want to have to argue that I was not unselfish enough. So I'm going to be way over the board about how unselfish I am with you. You don't want to have to argue. You don't want to have to defend your performance on these grounds, these grounds, these grounds. So you're trying to spike that shit out, but you're talking about sex. It's not an argument, Trenton.
Why not? Hell, if it's only an argument if they decide it's an argument. I just want to make sure I can argue it when they decide to. But I don't guess they're going to decide
You can't
to.
spike out post-relationship girl talk. You're insane.
Yeah. Don't even bother thinking about that one. Probably, unless you guys are into some shit that I'm not, no one else is there. And guess what? If you don't get rocked up, both of you are wondering what you did wrong.
What? Rocked up? What the hell? What's that?
You don't get a boner.
Look,
All right.
the point is, Trenton, that everybody else is also in a relationship, right? And like Taylor was saying, compare yourself to other people, not to ideas. It's important to remember that you have this vast population of people whom each have their own unique universe with their own relationships, and even if some partner comes out and starts making claims about whatever, people are just gonna sort of dismiss it as spiteful whatever, you know? It's spiteful garbage. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I think people understand that it's very risky to go out and do that. Say like, I'm gonna try to get back at my ex by talking shit about him or her in ways that are totally not acceptable socially, it's not going to work for anyone really.
It's self-defeating. The talker just looks like they're still enamored. I mean, the best argument against someone doing something like that would be no acknowledgement. And you've just won.
That whole argument is pretty much fucking useless because I mean anything that I can do for any amount of pleasure that I can give a female
Trenton,
with my
you're not
entire body.
competing. You're not fucking competing. Okay?
I'm not okay. I'm just saying, any if they decide to make that argument that there is a competition afterwards, I'm saying that any pleasure that I have within my capacity to give to them with my body, they can give to themselves on their own time, some way or another.
I want you to think about winning in the opposite direction to just so you can adjust back to where you should be, okay? Because think about winning the opposite way, that as many times as you can come in her mouth, that's points, okay? Before she gets any pleasure at all. Think of it that way. And then find the middle ground, okay?
Actually do that because that's the best way to not get pregnant.
That's interesting, yeah. Oh god, dude, I'm fucking. Oh my god, I'm very obsessed.
I don't want to hear it, details. I don't want to hear it. You're gonna make me feel awkward.
Me?
No, Trenton. I know Trenton is desperate to be all talky about things that make me feel awkward. But there's very weird, specifically short lines of things like, no, that's awkward, but just over here is okay. You know, it's like that.
I mean, I think that what you need to do is with whichever one the introvert, you need to put it in and take it out before you're done a few times, and then see how many fucks you give about your performance.
All right, gotcha. I'm not that compatible with the ISFJ, honestly. We never got along for more than a day or two we were together.
You're overthinking it, and she's overthinking what you're thinking about.
I mean, I get along fine with the INFJ. We just don't have sex. That's it. It's the only thing.
Does she look good?
She looks very good. That's intimidating to me. I wish she looked bad where I didn't have to worry about it.
Look, she's probably not confident if you're not doing her. She probably thinks you don't think that she's that hot. And that's the nature of fucking is that it's messy and weird and awkward and personal.
Yeah.
Except, and if you're 18 and just started going out with her, then you're certainly still in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
just fuck it. I'm just gonna invest more time in the fuck it zone.
Invest. If you have to think about something, think about what she can give to you, or think about why you don't need to think about these stupid things because they're not real anyways. You're comparing yourself against a concept.
Here's a good way to go about it. I'm going to start thinking more after the issues arise than before the issues arise. I'm going to put actual thought into things that have arisen. But I'm running out of things to think about.
It's better. Most things is better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
And it's better to assume. It's better to assume that you're right than to ask directions.
In a sensory way. Yeah, I agree with that.
No, in every sense.
In every sense? I don't know.
Not every sense, but you can apply that to your life in a blanket statement. No one will question what you're doing if you're not questioning what you're doing.
It doesn't apply to nuclear medicine or anything nuclear.
I mean,
I think it's best to go into things pretty ignorant.
There's not many experts to question you, but try more confidently that you're not supposed to go.
Wait, repeat that?
Try going somewhere confidently that you're not supposed to go.
I'll do that.
Like put on a suit and walk into like, I started playing this game. I got a suit job, and it was just kind of for shits and giggles because at this point in my life I wasn't questioning stuff anymore. But I could walk into the hospital here and go to any place in the hospital building, and as long as I didn't flinch my pace, my walking pace, or ask anybody anything, I told them that I was supposed to be there.
That's so fucking cool. I'm actually gonna try that.
Avoid
Don't do
hospitals.
it at jails or anything.
Oh,
I
what?
mean, hospital's a pretty good choice, actually, now that I think about it. I was going to say, hospital could also get you in trouble, theoretically. If you could find, what you want to do is go in places where you're not supposed to be on the college campus, except they're going to be spotting you as a college student. You probably won't be able to pull it off in a suit at this age.
Oh, I'll already do that shit. Oh my god, I've done that my whole life. That's so fucking interesting that you brought the college thing up because literally, fuck, what was it? Oh wait, I'm gonna skip that shit. Fuck that. My friend who loves fucking football, he's a fucking whatever. He loves football. He took me to the university, I live in Tennessee. We went to the University of Tennessee Stadium, and I was able to sneak through all the way to the fucking players' lounge where they are before the game, and I watched Netflix on a huge ass couch where they had like hundreds of dollars of breakfast set out. Because every door that I passed, I tried to open it. Every sign that said "Don't come to this fucking door," I was just like, "Fuck it, I'm blind. I have no fucking idea. I can't read. How the fuck? The door's not
That
locked."
was what you were going to go with? I can't read.
Yeah, it was
Well,
actually.
just apply that to everything else. So now apply that to other parts of your life. Apply that to your relationship. Apply that to whatever. If you're going to question stuff, don't question where's the right place for you to be. Question, why are these parameters here for me? Why are these parameters here?
And the thing is, you don't necessarily always know what you want, and the thing is, you're not going to necessarily know ahead of time what you want in life. You're going to have to learn to trust the fact that your innie will still be there when you need it later. You don't need to indulge it right now. About certain things. Certain things fine, other things not so fine. Like, chicks, the
You're
thing
probably
is,
going to get
in
divorced
the
at least
ideal
once.
relationship,
Yeah, I
both
will.
both people are very committed to each other, and both people are very affirming of each other. That's
And
my
neither person starts there.
good point.
The other person starts where?
At the ideal spot, you enter a relationship somewhere short of ideal and work towards it.
All right, hold on real quick. That's a picture of me in the players' lounge holding the TV remote.
Because Trenton is afraid we weren't going to believe him, so he's spiking out our accusations of his lying.
He's
Thanks for watching
that's
Talking
it's
with Famous
hard to
People.
argue